Hello there, everybody. I am back, and I'm sorry I have not made too much content in the last few weeks, but the rumors of my demise were greatly exaggerated. I am still here, and I'm still playing Lorcana. In fact, just last week I was able to take this Ruby Sapphire deck to a top 8 finish in the largest ever Lorcana tournament. So if you thought I was washed or that I couldn't play the game, no, I can in fact still play Lorcana quite well. That is now my 5th top 8 in 1K or larger events, which is quite good, but it's actually even more impressive, I think, given that I've only played in 8 events that big. So, yeah, I'm super, super excited about it, and I'm super excited about this deck, so let me walk you through it here. Overall, this is a relatively simple deck. Basically, the goal is to play Ramp with 1 jump ahead and Fishbone Quill, and then use that to quickly accelerate to your late game cards here in the form of Lady Tremaine, Madame Medusa, Gaston, Tamatoa, and Maleficent to absolutely take over the game. And of course be prepared as well as the nice reset button. And so, yeah, we've got draw engines in the form of Hurim, Flaversham, and Popsicle. And of course, Grammatala and Gaston can also help you power through your deck. You've got some consistency here in the form of Develop Your Brain. And the rest of the deck is sort of to just make sure you get to the late game without falling too far behind. But okay, let's go through the deck from top to bottom. We've got 4 Queen of Hearts. Queen of Hearts is the best early game control card we have access to in Ruby Sapphire. Unfortunately, we just don't have access to too many good early game plays. So you want to play for sure the maximum 4 copies of Queen of Hearts, and you're often going to want to mulligan aggressively for this card to make sure that you can play it on 2 in the matchups where that's important. That includes Green Steel, that includes Emerald Amethyst, as well as any of the Flutesong decks or just general aggro strategies. And in fact, I often keep it all the time, especially in the dark. Like, I'll always keep a copy of Queen of Hearts because even in the Sapphire Steel and Mirror matches, like, you're just happy to ink this card. If you have to ink it, half the cards you draw anyway, and more than half the cards you draw are good, then, having cards that are bad that you can just ink easily is certainly not that big of a downside. But okay, 3 copies of Judy Hopps here. You can play Judy Hopps on 3, and sometimes you will have to against aggro decks, but generally speaking, this is just here because I was worried about items. I was worried about Lucky Dimes going into the tournament, but also a lot of Flutesong decks I thought were going to show up, and it's good at removing Lantern and Flutes. For Grammatala, I think Grammatala is a card that is unimpressive. I think people look at this card and they think it's not super great. What's it doing in this deck? Well, one of the most important turns for this deck is turn 4. And obviously, the nut draw is Popsicle into 1 jump ahead into Flaversham, drawing 2 on turn 3 as your 4-drop. But you won't always have Flaversham and Popsicle. In fact, most games you will not have both of them. And so Grammatala does a really, really good job of coming down, stabilizing the board, and replacing itself. Very good against discard, very good against aggro, also very good against Ruby Amethyst, where the 3/3 body is quite strong. It trades with all of Ruby Amethyst's early game plays, which is great. Obviously, Flaversham is a draw engine. Really, you want to be sacking Popsicles, but after using Fishbone Quill for 2 or so times, it's pretty easy to sacrifice a Fishbone Quill as well. While Maui's Fishhook, which you could also sacrifice. You generally want to leave your Lucky Dimes in play, but if you get desperate, that's an option. 4 copies of Maui. Maui is, in my opinion, the best card in the game. I think it's one of the biggest reasons to play this deck over something like a Blue Steel deck. Maui is just a fantastic card, crushes locations, eats characters for lunch. It's inkable, so it's very versatile. Comes down pretty early. I think it's just overall a fantastic card. 2 copies of Lady Tremaine, 2 copies of Madame Medusa. I think both of these cards have their spots, which is why I'm playing a 2-2 split. Lady Tremaine is good in the sense that it can take out big things like something like a Tamatoa or a Maleficent Dragon in the Mirror match. It often won't, but it's nice to have that option sometimes. And it's also very, very good with Lucky Dime compared to something like Madame Medusa. I think the sort of play pattern that comes up a lot is that you'll get a Lucky Dime in play one way or the other, and then you want to just sort of play Maleficent Dragons and Lady Tremaines to keep your opponent off the board, and then just activate your Lucky Dime when those characters come into play. And then they're sort of forced to answer your character, but you can just play another character the next turn and then activate Lucky Dime right away. So that's fantastic. Madame Medusa is a little bit worse at that, but Madame Medusa is also much better against the steel decks. kills Beast and Robin Hood, for instance, but as well as a host of other things. I chose to play 4 copies of Gaston over, let's say, more copies of Lady Tremaine and Madame Medusa, just because in the mirror match, I think it's extremely important to get your Flaversham Popsicle engine going, and if you can't do that relatively early on in the game, and by early on I mean in like the first 7 or so turns, then you basically have no shot at winning. So I think having 4 copies of Gaston is nice. It lets you dig through your deck to find the cards you need. Yeah. 4 copies of Tamatoa, just the most powerful late game card you can play in this deck. Ends games extremely quickly, pairs extremely well with Lucky Dime, pairs extremely well with Flaversham getting back Popsicles. 4 copies of Maleficent Dragon, just as another answer. The nice thing about Dragon as compared to Madame Medusa and Lady Tremaine is just that it's inkable, so that if you draw it early, you can ink it and you don't have to worry about this kind of card cluttering up your hand. 4 Develop Your Brain for consistency. Obviously 4 Be Prepared for 1 Jump Ahead, just core components of the strategy. I've talked about most of the cards down here. I have not talked about Maui's Fishhook yet. It's not the most important card, but sometimes you like to have it in your deck so that you could challenge something like Jafar. It pairs with Maui to exactly deal 9 to remove opposing McDuck Manners, and just is a versatile card that sometimes you sack to Flaversham, and sometimes you use it for its ability, and if not, you can ink it. And the last card in the deck then is McDuck Manor. McDuck Manor is a nice, unique threat that you can pair with your Be Prepareds, because it lives through those, and it tends to be good against steel decks. It's the sort of card I think you could cut from this deck. You're not really an aggressive deck, so having a card whose only job is to collect lore over time is not super valuable, but it has its spots and you can ink it when it's bad. So I do like having 2 copies in the deck just to have the option. And yeah, that's the deck. Overall, it's, in my opinion, a very good deck. I've actually had a ton of success with it. Obviously, I top-8'd a major tournament with it, but also just playing on ladder, it's done very, very well for me. I'll throw up the stats on screen so you can see, but it has been ridiculously good. In fact, I've not dropped a single best of 3 match with it since. I also think it's favored against Sapphire Amethyst. The deck has a total of 18 uninkables, which is a little higher than I would like. I know some people want to go even higher to play more copies of Lady Tremaine and Madame Medusa. I wouldn't necessarily recommend that, but it is nice knowing that 4 1-jump aheads are basically ink, and access to Fishbone Quill means you can ink your uninkables in a pinch. But yeah, that's the deck, and whew, I've gone on for too long already, so let's just play some games. All right, On the Draw versus Mufasa. Been running into an abnormally high number of Mufasa decks lately, so I don't know if that's because someone just top-8'd a tournament with it, or made a video on it, or what. But we do need to find some early game here. So I'm going to ship everything except for the develops, trying to find something. Okay. Early B prep may be good enough. We'll see. Okay. That kind of deck. Fair enough. All right, let's ink a develop, play a popsicle. Second Fishbowl, probably not super important. Okay, they're definitely a go big Mufasa deck. All right, happy to have a second popsicle, never hurts. Okay, I'm gonna ink the second Fishbone. I'd love to have both of these, but I think I have to take the Tamatoa specifically because I need ink. Because I need to play this, I don't want to ink this, so it's actually a decent argument for just not playing the develop, but it's alright. So this feels like a Rapunzel, but there's not a lot I can do about it, so I'm just gonna let it happen. Oh, crazy. Surprised they didn't want to hold on to one of those. Maybe they have a third one in hand. At any rate, I do want to play this Flaversham. And the thing about Flaversham is that I can get 2 draw 2s off of it and play the Be Prepared. Like, this might entice them to play something else, thinking the coast is clear, when it is, in fact, not. And I'm going to ink 1 Madame Medusa, because I have to ink something. And pass here. Opponent did kind of have a nut draw against us, so this might be a tough one to win. Praying for no Mufasa. Okay, they play nothing. Makes sense to me. Let's ink a Queen of Hearts. I think ink a second Queen of Hearts. I'm gonna play this. Okay, of these, well, honestly, I might need the Lucky Dime to close the game quickly. I'm going to take the Lucky Dime. I believe I've already inked one off of my Fishbone, so putting it on the bottom seems high risk, means I would have access to no Lucky Dimes for the rest of the game. It's the sort of card that's going to be necessary. Like, I have the Tamatoa to set it up. Yeah, that doesn't bother me at all. Easy ink on this McDuck Manor. Get a popsicle. I can decide, okay, yeah, I will ink that for sure. Hoping they don't have a Lady Tremaine, but they very well could. I'm glad that their last turn was so weak. If they give me the opportunity to get this dime down, I'm just going to play dime, get a popsicle back. Oh. Oh, okay. Did not see this coming. Fair enough. Yeah, alright. Let's do this. Okay, no need to ink it at present. They're definitely playing a slightly atypical list. That is awkward. I'm just going to take this opportunity to get my Lucky Dime down. Still don't feel the need to ink anything. I don't think the fishhook's going to be important, but you never know. Okay, Maui. My opponent's hand is definitely very awkward here. And now I will ink something so I can use my dime. I want to hold the McDuck Manor. My opponent's already down at least 2 Mauis. I can't remember if they've inked one. So this McDuck Manor actually might be pretty decent here. Mufasa, yes. I think I can erase Mufasa. So let's lead on this. That makes me really think I can erase Mufasa. Basically, I don't want to risk popping this Mufasa, having them hit like a Maleficent Dragon, and me regret it when I'm like extremely confident that there's just no way they can race my Lucky Dime at this point in the game. All right. Just doing my stuff. Boom. All right. Okay. We are on the play versus Emerald Amethyst Tempo. And this is a terrible matchup, but it is one I actually played in 5 of my 11 matches in the tournament. So, you know, maybe I've learned something. Obviously, Queen of Hearts very good here. Popsicle quite good here. I'm going to hold on to Grammatala and Judy Hopps. Judy's just an easy ink because it doesn't really hit anything in the matchup. Sometimes they have a spell book, but it's not really that common. Yeah. I don't have ramp. Wish I did. I'm going to ink Grammatala just because this Flaversham is almost certainly going to be better at this point. Okay, that's probably easy ink for next turn. We might end up wanting to play this Judy Hopps just to get something on the board. But we'll see how this plays out. Curse Merfolk, yeah, it's kind of the ideal start for them. Alright, so let's ink this Maleficent and play Queen of Hearts just to have it in play. Let's see if they pick this up with like a Snake Mim or something. They do not, but they're definitely going to be pressuring our hand, which is awkward. Okay, so I don't need to play Judy Hopps this turn because I have this. And I think that Madame Medusa tends to be better than Lady Tremaine, so I'm going to discard the Lady Tremaine here. And I have access to Maui next turn, but I may end up playing Flaversham just to give me more options for my discard. It'll depend what happens here. Okay, so I lose my Queen of Hearts, but I actually don't mind this so much. This is kind of a really good opportunity, in my opinion, to get Flaversham down, because this is not an important threat to remove. Looking for another item here, I think, so that I can keep my draw engine going. Yeah, those are kind of mediocre. McDuck Manor is super unimportant against them. Unfortunately, they have like Fox Mim and sometimes crabs and stuff to take it out, so it's just high risk, not high enough reward. It is going to be important for us to find our continued draw engine here. Now, luckily, I have an answer for that Ursula. Okay, I don't hate this position because I do get to remove their entire board here. Alright. Not a bad spot. I actually like drawing this Grammatala. Just anything to dig me towards additional popsicles is really, really good right now, I think. Something like a Gaston or a Tamatoa would also be fantastic. That's annoying. Let's lead on this. It's a Tamatoa. I'm going to ink Maui. It's kind of past the point of the game where we need a Maui. After all, we've sort of wrested board control back already. Let's not sing that. That would be stupid. And then I think I just want to quest with the Madame Medusa. I don't want to risk losing this Flaversham to a Fox Mim or even just Ursula. And then let's hope we draw an Inkable next turn. Queen's Castle. We do have the ability to remove it on board already. Kit. I'm not super scared of this. Oh. Okay, that makes a lot more sense. I was confused by that quest there for a second. Okay, so we do not hit an Inkable for Tamatoa. That said, I think I'm going to play it anyway, even though I can't get a popsicle. Or excuse me, I can get a popsicle, but I can't play it. I'll just continue holding my Flaversham back. At this point, we're doing pretty good. I don't need to be in a hurry. I think playing Gaston there is also a perfectly reasonable play, but this is the most powerful in the long run, I think. Because now I can play Popsicle, Pop Popsicle, and then get it back again. Tremaine not looking super great here. Alright, I think we should just go wide. They have no sweepers, so I think that's sort of the best strategy here. Let's take another draw engine. Because I anticipate losing our Flaversham here. I like having access to another one. At this point, I think the best thing to find would be like a Lucky Dime. Okay, so they bounce our Tamatoa, but that's not so bad. I still have enough power on board to remove this Queen's Castle, unless they let my Flaversham live. Okay, and they don't do that. I think I might leave this Queen's Castle in play for one turn. And instead just remove all of their characters. That seems pretty good to me. Because this way they don't draw any cards, they'll only go up to 9. I think this game's basically over here. And I think this is a good time to just get this McDuck Manor down. I don't need any more draw power now that I have both of these in reserve. And yeah, we'll just pass. All right. That was actually a pretty clean win against the tempo deck there. Okay, on the play versus some sort of Amber Steel deck, likely Flutesong, but could be some Tiana deck, although I do think Tiana's pretty bad right now. Fishbone Quill specifically tends to be pretty good against wheel decks, so I'm going to hold on to that. I think I'll keep Tamatoa as ink. And yeah, this looks pretty good to me. I like playing Madame Medusa on 4, so happy to have that. Okay, Queen of Hearts also pretty good. Definitely just going to ink this Tamatoa. Alright, I like this hand. Drawing B prep there is not exactly what I wanted, but that's okay. Might want to just ink it off of this Fishbone, so they don't know that they got it when they wheel us inevitably, but it'll depend on how they start here. So I have options. I don't really want to walk my Queen of Hearts directly into the Cinderella, so I'm just not going to do that. I'll play this Popsicle. Yeah, and then happily ink a Grammatala. And if I choose to quest with that Cinderella, I might just Queen of Hearts it. We'll see. Might depend on what else they play this turn. Okay, so they're playing a Flute list. Now, yeah, if they quest with Cinderella, well, I'm guessing they're going to take my Fishbone. But yeah, that makes it easy. I'll just Queen of Hearts their Cinderella. Okay. Not going to need that. For what it's worth, like, I've seen a lot of people do this, like, singing Bare Necessities against this deck. If you're playing Flutesong, there's no reason to let your Cinderella just get eaten like this. Kind of seems not worth it to me. This is going to be a matchup where Judy Hopps shines if we can find a couple of those. Keep our opponents off of at least a large number of flutes. But we're going to have to close the game quickly. Luckily, they're not off to a super fast start. But yeah, it's just annoying that Flute sits in play all game and you can't do anything about it. Bare Necessities, okay. I actually like getting a 1-jump there. It's actually really nice in case they wheel soon. Probably should have drawn first, but basically nothing I could draw here would change that play. So it's no harm, no foul in this case. And I'll pass, obviously, if they want to aerial into my Queen of Hearts, be my guest. No problem at all. Because they ink their Bare Necessities. I would love to get this Madame Medusa off. I was hoping they would keep the Bare Necessities. The fact that they... Grab your sword, maybe, here? Oh, strength. Alright. Yeah, I'm just going to slam this Madame Medusa. And then if they have a wheel, they're going to have to hard cast it, which is... A-okay with me. We've now gotten out of the early game with some ramp, and our opponent has not built the large board or quested for a ton, so I feel pretty good about this game at this point. It's going to take a small miracle for them to claw it back, I think. Yeah, and that's just not a great play. I mean, they don't really have any choice, but... Because now I'm way ahead on board, way ahead on ink. I'm going to be ahead on lore pretty quickly. I can go up to 8 lore if I play Fishbone, and I would have 5 left. But 5 doesn't let me play anything, so we're not going to play Fishbone Quill this turn. We will play Gaston. Yeah. Let's just get way ahead on ink here. And now we can just go crazy. This Tamatoa should take over the game pretty quickly. They may have an answer in their deck in the form of World's Greatest Criminal Mind, but usually the deck doesn't play that many copies of the card. Okay. Yeah, it doesn't do anything right now. There's a popsicle in the bin. Of course, I don't have any... I don't have anything to ink to play Tamatoa plus Fishbone. So what if... I think getting Tamatoa in play is what I want to do. I feel like it's the card that threatens to end the game the quickest. As far as other items, there's a Fishbone in here. Whole new world. All right. I would love to find a lucky dime now. And there is one. If I play a lucky dime quest, get Fishbone, I could ink, use Fishbone to ink, and then also activate lucky dime all in one turn. Tentatively, that's my play, but we'll see what happens here. I feel like with a lucky diamond play, this game should end in relatively short order, no matter what. Okay, yeah, that's going to be my play, I think. All right, and they concede. Did I have lethal? 5, 8, 9, 10. Okay, I did have lethal, I believe. All right, well, that was a good game. Thank you so much for watching. I won't dwell too much on the matchups at the end here like I sometimes do because I talked about that a lot before the games I played. I will just remind you again that I think this is a metagame choice type deck. It's very good against the typical tier 1 decks, but it does not fare super well against aggro, so if you expect to play against a lot of aggro, I would not choose this deck. But otherwise, yeah, I think it's a very, very solid choice. It's been very, very good for me on the ladder and in tournament. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe. If you have not checked out the podcast I dropped with some friends and teammates, please do that. We'd really appreciate that. We're going to try to do that regularly going forward. Obviously, our first attempt at it was maybe not the highest quality effort, but I think we'll improve. And yeah, thank you so much, and I'll catch you next time.